You actually think that Megaforce is inferior to Dino Charge? Let's see exactly how. If you guys didn't know, Dino Charge is the 22nd season in the famous Power Rangers series. This time led by Judd Lin as executive producer, as well as two other well-known faces. And Judd Lin is extremely popular amongst the fans for most of his work including Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, Lost Galaxy, and half of Power Rangers in Space. Previously, he had teamed up with Jonathan Zaker, one of the long-running Power Rangers executive producers. However, following his departure during Wild Force, that meant that Jonathan Zaker had to produce Wild Force alone without Judd Lin as a writer. Initially after that, every other season would be adapted by Disney until 2011's Power Rangers Samurai, which was brought back by Saban Brands, and Jonathan Zaker was brought in as executive producer, although he did not write any episodes. He is mainly scolded at for his performances with Power Rangers Samurai and Megaforce, which technically weren't bad seasons, but they were kind of lacking. Mainly in the reason being that Nick actually rushed this production schedule that was provided for both seasons. And our season, Megaforce, as well as the follow-up season, Super Megaforce, were both used as anniversary seasons to accommodate the many years that Power Rangers has run, as well as bring back the original story of Zordon teaches 5 Rangers with attitudes how to protect and save the world. However, we had Gosei, and Gosei put his own spin on things. Now, many of the fans love to hate on this because he's not exactly Zordon and he doesn't do everything Zordon's way, but he does help. And that should be the most important thing about a series, okay? Not about how the Rangers' powers are completely unexplained and blah blah, especially when it already explained that the powers of Super Megaforce have access to powers from different planets and dimensions without the actual ability of knowing what these powers are, and yet they ran concurrently with the seasons before Megaforce and Super Megaforce. But oh no, that won't stop the fans. You gotta be kidding. Why would the fans stop there? I mean, they don't like to listen to anything. I'm dead serious about this. As many times as people have told them that the powers are already explained, that Gosei helps the Rangers, so that actually makes him a great mentor rather than a mentor that just tells them shit and then instantly doesn't do anything to help them whatsoever, makes Gosei better than people like Demetria and the hamster from Wild Force or even Andrew Hartford. But people don't think like this because they don't want to think. All they want to think is how Megaforce borrows footage from Gokaiger and also does not follow the story the exact same way, but tries to introduce its own flair. And then they criticize our acting. But most of the people who are criticizing our acting can't even act themselves. I mean, have you heard various reviewers on YouTube? They have no idea what they're talking about mainly when they're criticizing this. I say, just watch power reviews. They know what they're talking about. And the seasons are not perfect, but they do bring a sense of fun and enjoyment. Also, another problem is most people do not have their own opinions. This is horrible. I mean, I can understand if you guys do not like the season individually, but you do have different opinions, okay? So just be yourself. It really isn't nice to nitpick. Nitpicking is wrong, unless it's for the right reasons, of course. You can't just nitpick everything and then automatically say that something is a bad season. That's not good reviewing. That's terrible. Okay, enough of that. Now we're going to get to the actual Megaforce cast. My cast. Troy is our fearless leader. Yes, he is the leader of the group, and he's part of the Sky Brothers, and so am I. Troy is a fearless leader, but he is also the silent type. He doesn't talk until a battle rises. Once a battle rises, Troy steps straight in front immediately and starts yelling his ass off and trying his best to lead our team and protect us from harm. I think that's a good leader. It's not bad. Also, it's explained how he's a great martial artist, which is also a different benefit when it comes to other seasons. The only one to do this other than that season would have to be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers itself. Then we have Gia. Gia is my best friend. Well, Gia is Miss Perfect. She is also a person with soft feelings for Jake. And I think that's really romantic. Jake is just a clown, but when it comes to battling and saving the world, Jake gets serious. He just does it in his own flair. Then we have Noah. Noah is a smarty, so that really benefits us. Also, he never gives up, which also makes him a great Blue Ranger. Troy's the Red Ranger, Noah's the Blue Ranger, Gia's the Yellow Ranger, I'm the Pink Ranger, and Jake is our Black Ranger. But we can also go Super Mega, which turns Jake green. Though that was never really explained, I think that was the whole joke. Because our season is also known for being a season that makes fun of itself. That's right, we actually have a season that makes fun of our original source material, Gokaiger, which is really funny. And, of course, we have the Mega War, which was the final episode of Power Rangers Super Megaforce. People really dislike this part just because the fight was only 2 minutes long. Are you serious? Because it's only 2 minutes long? Come on, we've had much shorter fights than that. Also, the season finale is not mainly based on the Mega War. The Mega War just happens in the last 2 minutes of it. The main fight was against Emperor Mavro and his cronies. That was the main point of the episode, to wipe out the entire armada. Despite the fact that our season had tons of Dias Machinas, it's easy to say that Megaforce as well as Super Megaforce were okay seasons. They weren't the best, and they weren't super mega, but they were pretty mega, and at least the stories were clean, right? Now that's when we get to Dino Charge. Time to get wild and ugly. While Dino Charge is a good season so far, this show has so many errors within the story itself. It doesn't really make any sense to me. And the very reason for that is because when you watch the episodes, you're mainly reminded of how many errors are constantly used throughout the episode's main story plots. For example, in episode 4, Koda, the caveman, comes across a kid who's randomly riding his bike. The kid does not see the monster, and so the monster throws the cage at him, and Koda jumps in the way to protect the kid. Now, there is no way that the kid's leg could randomly be injured, but it is. This does not make any sense. The kid literally thinks his leg is broken, but by the end of the episode, his leg is completely fine. Koda comes up to him and asks how his leg is doing, and he tells him that his leg is doing fine. But what happened to the whole part about his leg being injured? Or furthermore, what caused the injury to begin with? Then we get the scene where Sledge, the main baddie, is on his ship. On the pursuit to catch Keeper, you see that the Earth is in Pangea, while it's going past the moon, but every other shot shows that the planet is looking like modern-day Earth. That doesn't make any sense either. And I'm not going to play saint. There are certain instances where our season did the same thing, such as the loss of our Zords and Robo Knight's Robo Blaster randomly appearing in his hands when he gave it to Troy in the season finale of the original Megaforce season. Although these are small things, when you look at Dino Charge's errors, they're all over the place. If you look really hard, in fact, you don't even have to look hard. If you just watch episodes, you'll instantly be reminded of weird things, such as how Ice Age's voice changes in 2 different episodes, how Sledge, Keeper, and the others failed to get the Inner Gems over 1,000,000 years, and how Sledge and Poisandra still aren't married, and various other weird mysteries. Seriously, Dino Charge has a few problems. It's enjoyable, but the episodes are way too short in terms of the stock footage it uses as well, and the writing, while being strong and having stronger character development than our season, really suffers in the writing department. There are also problems with the characters as well, and this is very strange. Because, for example, the Red Ranger, Tyler, is never really given a status as leader, and yet he's leader simply because he's wearing red. I remember in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that Tommy was the leader and he was the White Ranger. So that never made any sense for them to even imply that in the beginning. They never even implied that he is the leader. Another thing that is very strange about this is when you think about it, Tyler, as well as the others, have backstories that aren't really explained either. For example, Tyler can randomly flip, knock back projectiles with a shovel and such. But if they don't explain his background, if he's a martial artist or anything, he's just randomly able to do all of these things without even learning martial arts or anything. The same applies for other characters, such as Riley, who randomly appears using some sort of stick to fend off one of Sledge's villains, referred to as Fury. He's knocking back his projectiles, and they haven't even gotten to the part that they're supposed to explain for him yet. Its storytelling is also all over the place. Like, for example, they'll tell you that Koda's a caveman 2 episodes after you already saw him, and then another episode later, they'll go back and say, hey, look, Koda was frozen 100,000 years ago, but they never ever implied it in his own episode. But let's get to the point, because really, all we want to know is if Dino Charge is better than Megaforce. In terms of story, definitely. Megaforce follows the original formula of Mighty Morphin, which has stereotypical villains and unoriginal characters. And I'm Emma, so I am not afraid to admit that. But that's the reason that makes Super Megaforce and Megaforce so special, because it goes back to a time where things were not too difficult, but at the same time we were a great message to children. As for Dino Charge, it's continuing to hold that torch, but the writing is just a little off. If they can manage to somehow get more writers in to help Judd Lin, this could quite possibly be the best season. However, in terms of writing, I'm going to have to stick with Power Rangers Megaforce and Super Megaforce, because there wasn't really any errors within the story. It was more so stock footage, and it had Deus Ex Machinas, but that didn't get in the way of its performance. The writing was okay, the acting was okay, everything was overall okay. Dino Charge has stronger characters and story basis, but at the same time it suffers because there's numerous errors within the story. Also, the fight scenes are way too short. Out of all the scenes that were in Kyoryuger, they could have adapted the fights way better than they did. But the season is still not over, and we still have more to show, so we can't really give an analysis yet, but as far as it's going right now, I think that Megaforce is just a bit better. But some of the fans don't think that. They literally think that Megaforce is the worst season, quite literally worse than Operation Overdrive, which is the worst season ever besides Wild Force and Turbo. So, I really don't know what to say about that. I mean, some of these guys are so weird, and I don't understand why they would ever come to that analysis. But, hey, what can you say? It's fans. That's what they do. I think I'm done here. Oh, and one thing before I leave. Break it and see what's inside!
What, the fans are actually this retarded? I ain't take a picture of this shit.